one of the reasons why I don't like doing other platforms before is because I'm not a tech person. And so I was only familiar with Facebook for a very long time. Oh, now you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
so
that's good.
now we are live. Hold on.
Okay, cool.
Okay, now we are live. You can check it
We're
later.
live. Hello,
Okay,
everybody.
finally we're live. Hi, John.
Hi.
All right, so let's go back.
Okay, back to introducing myself.
Oh my, I can hear you.
Hello,
Why can I hear?
hello, hello.
Yes, please.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi. So going back to introducing myself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So my name is Jasmine, and I am an Ayurvedic practitioner and a yoga teacher slash practitioner. And I am somebody who is really fascinated by spirituality, religion, and the physical body, and the spiritual body, and the mental body. And I'm here because Antoinette invited me. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to talk about anything related to this field of topic.
Nice, nice. Let's see what else you can share later on with all of your
Okay.
travels.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. How about you, John?
Oh, me. I am here to listen mostly. I'm just a philosopher, really. That's my life passion is philosophy, and I'm a truth seeker.
Oh, cool. All right. Do both of you know anything about Fika? What Fika means?
No.
Me
Okay.
neither.
Okay, so this is a Swedish tradition. I adapted this because I have a Filipino friend who's married to a Swedish guy, and we used to go to her house for fika session. Fika is basically their way of intentionally slowing down
Hmm.
during, whatever they're doing at any given time, purposely to recalibrate and to de-stress and to find time to sit down with friends or family over a cup of coffee for the most part. But some people do tea or whatever drink they have, and basically just connect, sit down, connect, talk. And according to my friend's husband, they do this not just once a day. Sometimes they do this 2 times, 3 times, more than what they're supposed to do in their work. So I love the fact that they're doing that, because
Hmm.
if we are so used to always constantly moving, 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 that's what burns us out mentally, physically, emotionally. There's just always so many things that we need to do. But if we have this kind of tradition, then it's something that we can always look forward to. It's like, after this, I'm gonna go run to my friend's house, and then I can just sit down and we can just catch up. So it's something that normally I think people always look forward to, something that makes them feel good, make them feel relaxed. And so while we were doing this at my friend's house, it was so nice in person, because of course you can really feel the coziness of it. And then she would always make her tea with a little bit of like little cookies or whatever. So that encompasses the whole fika feeling. I think in Japan they have something similar, which is called ikigai.
Hmm.
Um, it's just a different way of doing it, but the main reason is to slow down and be present and be aware of your surroundings. In Denmark, they have huga. It's called huga, which is like HYGGE. Now in the Philippines, I would like to call it. I'm Filipino, so I would like to call it ginhawa, because this is not our tradition, but it correlates to the feeling of when you do ginhawa. It's like giving a sigh of relief, like something like that. So it's like if I'm so tired with my day, or I'm so, caught up with all the schedules, at least at that certain time, I could close my eyes and say, finally, this is my time. So that is why I love this concept of Fika. And I decided to do it online because there was a point where we cannot do it all the time because of our schedules. And so I'm thinking, I still want to continue this. Like, I still want to connect with people who might also be looking for the same thing. And I was surprised, Jasmine, because I found out that in LA, they actually have a Fika club
Oh,
where they would meet at different cafes, and purposely they just want to do that. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, can you guys come down to Orange County? It's too far for me to drive. But, it just makes my heart, full of joy that there are people who are really finding time to do this. Because oftentimes, we can always, it's so easy to say, I'm so busy, I don't have time for that. Or I have better things to do than sit down and talk. But little do people know that that alone is healing, right?
yeah,
The mere fact that you just put some time to sit down and honor yourself, you know, give respect to your time, your body, what your body needs, your mind. So that is why we have this Fika session. I've done this like the last few months. I put it on hold for a little bit because I was building our bake shop, bake shop, which is also called Ginhawa, which is
uh,
like reminding people to connect to your culture, your roots, eat this
That's
food. But
awesome.
yeah, but we're in the process. It's me and my daughter, so we're in the process of like getting our permits and everything.
Hmm.
So I put the Fika on hold, and then now I'm just glad that I'm back with Jasmine because I don't know about you guys, but I've been in this spiritual journey since 2013, and I always feel like whenever I finish like a chapter in my life, there's always something that wants to be birthed. There's always something that's like calling my attention, like, okay, you need to level up now. Okay, you're done with all of that. I mean, when we say done, it's not like totally done that you're closing the door. It's like you've gained wisdom, you've gained enough experience to move on to the next level of your life, and share it with others what you've been through. Talk to people, and Fika is actually a great way because this is a storytelling session. This is like, hey, how are you doing? So what's happening? What have you learned from this? And this is why it's perfect for Jasmine, because I wanted to know, when you move out of the country, like, you didn't know what to expect. So what happened and how did you cope and everything?
thanks for asking. Wow. So, um, there's been a lot of good things, a lot of great things learned, and there's been some difficulties as well. Um, Maybe you can relate because for the first time in my life, I am an immigrant. You know, I was born and raised in California and I lived there for 26 years. And now I'm living in a country. I mean, I've been living in these countries that my parents are from, but I don't speak the language fluently. I don't know the culture that well. So I'm like, I'm starting fresh, just like an immigrant, you know. So it's very humbling, and now I'm seeing and experiencing a lot of the challenges that all immigrants have faced, you know, with putting yourself in a brand new place where you don't know anybody and you're just, you know, I'm here to just do my best, you know? So, yeah, first I moved to Iraq, Baghdad, which I'm sure you know uh, was war torn for a while. And moving there, I saw I saw how lucky we are in a way to be living in the West because I've traveled to countries in the East. I've traveled to Morocco. I've traveled to Asia. Um, Europe's its own kind of thing, but like after going to Iraq and seeing how behind the country is in terms of infrastructure and just developing after the war, it really put it in my head like, wow, we're lucky to be living in America, even though America has its faults, plenty of faults. There's so many beautiful things about America that should not be taken for granted, you know? And something else about living in Iraq and in Baghdad is just the culture itself. You know, it's an Islamic culture, uh, just like Morocco is. The context right now, I'm living in Morocco, where my mom is from, and Iraq is where my dad is from. But, and you know, these are both Islamic countries, but in Iraq, it's more of a conservative culture. The relations between, for example, men and women is completely different than the relations here in Morocco. Like growing up Moroccan and being with male family members, I would kiss them on the cheek. Hello, how are you? You know, I would greet even men that I don't know very well with kisses on the cheek. It's just part of the culture, I think, from French influence, probably. But then in Iraq, they don't have that at all. It's like men and women, they don't even shake hands. They just nod at each other and say hello, nice to meet you. So, especially, you know, growing up in the West, in America, there's so much more attention placed on the female that is not like that in Iraq, where I kind of felt like, am I even here? Like, nobody's looking at me. Like, like when I'm walking on the street, it's like no man is looking at me, and they're all just minding their own business, which is kind of like it's a good thing, and I think a lot of women would appreciate this. But it's actually like different, you know. It's a different dynamic, which was something that I'm still adjusting to, you know. Um, but now being in Morocco, I've been living here in Morocco for since March now. I grew up visiting Morocco, so I'm a little bit more familiar with the culture, and it's generally more open because Morocco has been a tourist country for a long, long time. There's people from all over the world traveling here, so it caters to people from around the world. Whereas in Iraq, you know, they're just coming out of a war, so it's different, you know. But I've been feeling so I feel like I have such a broader version of reality now that I've moved to these countries, and I'm seeing like, wow, like just be grateful wherever you are. There's pros and cons everywhere, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true. I agree. This is your first time to be out of the US
Mhm.
since you were born.
No, I visited countries uh, growing up. I've traveled, but this is my first time actually living, you know, outside of the
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, the culture shock is real.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that when I first got here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it takes some time to get used to it. And like what you're saying, you know, it opens up your mind to different things. It is true when people say, you know, when you travel, it is educational because you get to learn a lot, and not just traveling, but when you stay put in one country, you learn even more because you immerse yourself in their culture and in what they do. So you are blessed to be able to do that in both your mom and your dad's side, and
Mm-hmm.
still there taking
Yeah,
things one day at a time,
yeah.
which I super enjoy when I see all your posts.
Thanks. I'm glad you're looking. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not just like every day, but sometimes when I happen to browse in it, I'm like, oh my God. And I kind of like the way you think about, you know, what you're seeing. Because from there, you can basically tell like what type of a person you are and all that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Well, John, would you like to share a little bit about you? You said you're a
Sure.
philosopher.
Yeah,
Let's see.
that's my life passion. Yeah. I mean, I just to that point, I just love learning like forever, forever, just always, always, that's just as long as I can remember and till the day I die, I'll always be learning and want to be learning about this life, our existence, what are we doing here? What's it all about? But yeah, it's really interesting the idea of Fika, right? Um,
Mhm.
I actually recently so okay, so I'm Italian. My father's side of the family is from northern Italy, and my mother's side is from southern Italy. And
Okay.
recently I traveled to Italy. And when you were talking about the idea of like relaxation and integrating that into life, I love that. So I hadn't heard of fika before, but I already know that I love it.
Oh,
Because
that's good. See,
yeah.
even the word alone, sometimes there's just something that makes people remember or relax. So
Hmm.
in your DNA,
Oh
maybe in
yeah.
your past life, like your soul was like, this is my life, not the constant moving and struggling.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all. And when I went to Italy, it was really cool because I think I saw a version of Fika in how they live in
Hmm.
southern Italy. I was in Vietri, which is about an hour, um, I guess, east from Naples. It's on the way, like kind of between Naples and Salerno,
Hmm.
and but just in southern Italy in general, because I've been there before, one of the things that's always struck me is like how they work and how, and so there is this sort of like there are these built-in moments of like relaxation to their workday where
Hmm.
they like everybody will just like okay, so I was working with them actually this last time, and everybody just kind of like says okay, let's go grab a coffee, let's go get an
Mm,
espresso,
yeah.
and so we all just drop what we're doing, everybody, like it's like it's like a communal agreed upon thing, and then we go get some some coffee, and we just talk for a bit and relax, and then we go back, but
Yeah.
and then there's a siesta, in kind of like around 1 p.m., their time. And that's when they take like 2 or 3 hours. Oftentimes they'll nap, you know, and then afterwards, or eat, and then afterwards they'll just go back to work.
Hmm.
And so the it's very different obviously in that way from the US, where it's like if you get a lunch break it's like this tiny little thing, and
Yes.
it's kind of like
And you're
sandwiched
hurrying up.
in between all the work, and it's yeah, you're hurrying through it often, exactly. It's like not that is not like the European, the lifestyle that I experienced in Italy. And so that was one big example of like where from what I'm already learning from you, like what hearing about like just the idea of relaxation being built into the day that I
Mhm.
experienced recently that I really like and appreciate.
That's good. And I guess that's my whole point in like really reaching out to as much people as I can who understands or probably who craves this type of concept, because we're only human. We can only do so much. At certain point in our lives, we long for that hour, 2 hours of just relaxing. And it's always fun to have it with other people that have the same views. And I think this is what makes it even deeper, the practice. If I would have to think about incorporating, Fika is a tradition, it's what they do all the time. If I incorporate the spiritual aspect of it, it's putting the intention behind doing it. So why do you exactly want this downtime? Why do you crave or create this hour for yourself once a week? It's because in the spiritual aspect, we want to ground. We
Mhm.
want to go back to our, serenity, and just process our thoughts, our emotions, and everything without having to deal with all the chaos, all the negativity, and everything, because these are all given. And we really can't do much about it except, be strong for ourselves. So the community we have gets the strength, and it's going to be like a ripple effect. That's
Mhm.
just how I look at things. Like, of course, we can voice out our opinions and everything, but if we constantly do that without really putting a lot of awareness and intention, what good would it do, right? Like, how far can it go? But if you just cultivate love and peace and joy, it may not do much right now, but collectively within the world, like, I
Yeah.
feel like there's going to be so much peace, there's going to be less fighting. That's just how I look at things. And again, people may have different opinions in that, but I respect whatever opinion other people have, because it's just the way they look at things. But if I continue to share that this is my train of thoughts and this is how I like to live my life, and this is why I'm craving Fika and community, then it makes us more happier. It brings more joy to the people that we meet and encounter along the way. And so I'm glad that you were also on this path, and Jasmine, and then who knows what else, right? I do this every second and fourth Friday. Actually, it's Friday at 7, but we did this today because of Jasmine's time. I think 7 o'clock here is 2 o'clock in the morning for you.
Yeah, something like that. 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can give me like what's best, we can always like change it. I mean, it's not like something that's set on.
Yeah.
I just started it with that because some of the people that I knew in the Philippines who
Hmm.
wanted to join, it's convenient for them because it's a Saturday for them. It's a
Wow.
weekend, so some of them can join. But we can always like schedule something like this.
What time is it in the Philippines at that time?
7:11 in the morning, Saturday.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a big.
See how the power of social media is good too, because
Hmm.
we can communicate at different time zones. We're like in a time machine.
Yeah, it is incredible.
I don't know about John. What is your experience with spirituality?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, so I was raised Catholic,
Uh-huh.
um, and and so I joke that I don't. So I went to CCD, as they call it. So that's like, where you learn as a kid about Catholicism and everything. But
Uh-huh.
I joke that the most that I learned from that is how to make paper airplanes with my classmates. And so I really kind of dug into like religion more as I got older and got into, yeah, just kind of like asking more questions about everything, and just wanting to understand, Christianity better, like this world better. And through that, things kind of just opened up for me. I actually became a religion major in college. That's like, but again, my passion's philosophy, but I joke, but it's true that the religion department at my school I found to be more philosophical and kind of truth seeking, like the classes more
Mm-hmm.
participatory. Actually, what you're saying, what I'm imagining with the Fika sessions that is kind of, I suspect what I experienced in my classes, and that's actually why I majored in that department, because we just all had open discussions, and
Mm-hmm.
relaxed. Everybody was comfortable talking with everybody else, and that was like the daily experience in that department, in the religious studies department, and I really love that, because and actually, maybe also to your point, I think that's something that I feel that this world could use more of, is just creating safe spaces and
Mm-hmm.
open spaces for us all to just bounce ideas off each other, or just talk to each other about how our lives are going, and what,
Mm-hmm.
you say something, and I say, hey, this reminds me of something that I just
Yeah.
experienced, and we
Yeah.
learn from each other. And so, to me, spirituality, my spirituality is very much a relational one. That's a big part of my spirituality, is relating to other people, other humans. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. Like, 'cause each one of us is like, we're like our own universe. And so
Yes.
the fact that we can dive into each other's universes is just never ceases to amaze me. And then of course I just, love hearing about all different religions, and different perspectives on things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of my scatterbrained response, yeah, about my
Well,
spirituality.
that's really great. I mean, like it tells me of a person who's very open-minded and, not I hope you're not judgmental with others, which I don't sense it, but yeah, it's just a matter of like respecting people's point of views, their religion. I'm Catholic as well. I grew up Catholic. Towards my midlife year, I decided I'm not renouncing. I'm still Catholic, but I
Hmm.
like to adapt more the concepts of Buddhism and
Hmm.
Hinduism. It's because it's more relatable.
I've been learning a lot about Islam,
Yeah.
through my connection with Aya, and that's been fascinating to me too. And
Yeah.
my grandmother, just one more thing, actually, now that hearing you say that, my grandmother's always shared with me, like from a young age, she's actually been a pretty big traveler in her life. She's 95 now,
Mhm.
and she's always said, there's one God. It's the same, it's a
Mhm.
universal God, and so that's been instilled with me from an early age. And I recently heard somebody else say that is Muslim, and it's so, and I have Buddhist friends as well that very much, I know that Buddhism and the concept of God, it's like it's kind of absent from Buddhism,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I also heard a really good comedic skit where
Mhm.
his name escapes me right now, but he basically says, well, if those who don't believe in God say that we came out of nothing, and there's nothing, we're surrounded by kind of, nothing, it's just the universe and all this,
Mhm.
is like, well, couldn't one say that maybe that is God in a way, like that, the idea of nothingness, but then also like everythingness, is
Is
like,
yeah.
is the same, so yeah, these are the sorts of things I think about, and I definitely, yeah, kind of have a universal, I guess, perspective in that way. So that just reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's really good. Jasmine, what are your thoughts on this? With you practicing yoga and everything. So what are your whole idea or wisdom on this thing?
I I believe in that concept of one God, and I believe that there is so much wisdom to be found in all traditions of all kinds. Because I'm imagining Fika to be a dialogue where you relax, talk, share your views, even if they're different views. It's a space where the guard is low and you can just talk, you know. And when you study different religious or spiritual traditions, there might be some opposing concepts, but when you study the mindset and just open yourself up to seeing why is it that these people think this way, it gives you a sense more into humanity, like how humanity is functioning, how humanity is thinking. And that's what I love, that's why I study these subjects, especially like yoga being part of the Hindu, Indian kind of world, polytheistic world, as people like to describe Hinduism. And whereas Islam, I'm a Muslim person, Islam is very monotheistic. There's an opposing ideology at first glance, but when you study it more and you study the concepts more, you see that there is like a universalism underneath it all.
Mhm. Mhm.
The reason why there's these differences is just the way, I guess, that people talk about it,
Mm.
pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I totally agree to that too because I'd like to share my experience too because I started with just reading all about Buddhism, right? Following people doing the practice, and I realized I'm like, oh, they almost have that like 10 commandments for Catholics, but they have their own version, which is basically almost the same except that it's being worded in a different way.
Mhm.
So I would just look at it as like, okay, bottom line is, respect all living things. Like it, or if you don't want people to do this to you, don't do it to them.
Mhm.
Anything that you know that's not right, to put it simply or in layman's term, that's the rule of the universe. That's God's rule. Just be good, just be fair, honest. And then like you said, they have different ways of putting it, different gods and all that. But at the end of it all, it's just boils down to love. I don't know if you're familiar with A Course in Miracle.
Yes.
Okay. So A Course in Miracle is also talking about, it has its own book, which is almost like their Bible. It is, I feel like it's a combination of Christian and Catholic rolled into one, in the eyes of Abraham Hicks, who was, the person who, but it's a long story. But anyway, to put it short, their thing is also the same. One of their first line always says that nothing real can be threatened, which means the real thing that they're talking about is love. If there is love in anything, you cannot threaten it with fear. You cannot threaten it with hate, with ignorance. So if I'm looking at you as a loving person, there's no reason for me to be fearful, like, oh, what if this person is, gonna kill me, or what if, you just have it. But of course, our intuition would always tell us, okay, be careful. If you sense something that's off, then that's off.
Mhm.
But the general rule is just like, you cannot, like in our thoughts, sometimes we want to do something, but in our thoughts, we will always say, hey, you haven't been to that road yet. What if somebody kidnaps you? Or what if you have a flat tire and you don't know how to fix your tire? And then you're scared. But these are all fear that's like stopping us. Why
Yeah.
don't I try it and do this? And that's why I really admire you when you made that step to, okay, let me just go to Iraq. And then I ask you, oh, for vacation, and you said, I don't know how long I'll stay there. I'm like, what? Are you sure? I'm like, what are you gonna do there? And then she said, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll see. So I love that enthusiasm. Plus I love that bravery and courage. That's just how we're supposed to approach life. And again, sometimes it also I think has something to do with age. Because when you're a little bit younger and you're single, I remember when I was single, I'm very spontaneous. Like, okay, let's do this. Okay, let's do that. When I got married and I had kids, I'm like, I'm thinking about them. Maybe not yet. Maybe later. Maybe. But then, the circle of life, what goes around comes around. So it comes back. And I feel like I'm at this stage again where, okay, it's time to make that move again. It's time to step up a little bit because I've done my part. And I think the study of spirituality, and when I talk about spirituality, it's about everything. It's about whether you read the Bible and you apply the concept. It's about you attend meditation classes, yoga classes, and apply the concept. It's really about that and what sticks to you. So I would say that, like you said, you are a learner, John, right? I've always been a student of life. I've always said that too, because I'm always like curious, like, what happens with this? Like, why do people act like this? Why is it like this? I'm always in my head. So at this point in time, I just feel like I've incorporated a lot of different philosophies, religious. Well, I'm not exposed to a lot. I'm only exposed to Hinduism, Buddhism, a little bit of Baha'i. Are you familiar with Baha'i? It's a
Yes.
Persian faith, because
Yeah.
my Filipino aunt is married to Iranian Persian guy.
Mm.
They're in Australia. So I kind of know a little bit of the Baha'i, and then of course Christian, Catholic, and then the 7-day Adventist, whatever. I just hear a few things about that. So those are all my exposure. And I just realized that at the end of it all, there's just really one God. You
Yeah.
know, it's just really one God.
Yeah. We all come from the same place.
Yes. Yes,
And I'm
yes.
sure we're all going to the same place as well.
Oh, there is this, I don't know. Are you guys, have you heard of Raj Yoga?
Yes, I
It's
have.
yoga of the mind.
Yes.
Mm.
where they just like really you know tell you about how to take care of your mind, because it all starts from there. Like
Mhm.
once you entertain a lot of different things, then it boils down to your actions, your decisions, and everything. So, oh, Sylvia, right, Jasmine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sylvia invited me. So
Mhm.
she's doing Raj Yoga and she's like a teacher. And I've
Mhm.
attended her classes, and it opens me up to a whole new dimension of all these like births and rebirths and how many
Mm.
times we die in life. And I'm like, wow, we die that much and go back again to reincarnate and die and reincarnate. So, right now I'm going in and out of their classes. I
Mhm.
would attend their daily, they have a daily Merly, that's what they call it, but it's like a Bible study,
Mm.
but it's their thing. So, I mean, what's her name? Sylvia holds classes for free every now and then, for it's like a month or something. And if you
Mhm.
would be interested, then maybe, I can share her link. But
Yeah.
it's very interesting and I really like it too, because again, it reminds me of Buddhism and Hinduism, but they just have their own specific, like, the I don't know what they call their, they don't call it God, but it's like, like, I forgot what's the term. But anyway, it's like their deity or something like that. But it's the same. And then I brought a friend one time to go with me. She's Chinese.
Mhm.
She's Chinese, but she's Catholic.
Mm.
And when she went there, she really has all these questions like, but why is it like this? Why is it that? And then I'm like, okay, that's great. And then but she still doesn't believe that we have to die 85 times. And she's fighting. It's like, no, that's just not right. And I told her, it's just you can process that in your head, but because this is what I like to do. Like when I incorporate different religions, I just learn. It doesn't mean to say that just because I'm listening to you, I'm gonna,
Mhm.
embody and accept everything. So I'll pick, what resonates with me, what I find to be relatable and everything, and then, I adopt it.
Yeah, exactly. And things change too. How you think about your faith or your religion, it's a lifelong thing. It changes, you
It
know.
is.
You think you
Yeah.
found the answer, and then it's like, wait, actually, there's more, you know.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think one way for me, the way that I would say that I look at that having to do with everything you guys just said is, people talk about like the idea of God, they talk about the idea of like holiness, like what's holy versus what's, to me, the holiest book there is the book of this life, is being alive, and we're all participants in that and learners of that. And I think that if there is a God in my mind, it would make sense for this God, like you guys said, to be the source of all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and we return, all of us return, to that source. And so, yeah, that's why, like, I just think a lot of times we can get lost in the weeds, so to speak, like, and maybe, like you said, like, Antoinette, like, I love questioning things certainly as much as anybody else, but
Mm-hmm.
just because I might find one thing like I don't understand it, or I don't, it doesn't resonate with me, doesn't mean that I can't learn from, whoever is speaking to me, or that other things that, from that particular faith, or what they're saying might resonate with me. And I think that, yeah, I think that that's very like normal, and
Mm-hmm.
that's part of, it's just part of the process. If we were just kind of like signing up for everything and like not
Yeah.
worrying, so you know what I mean, then it, yeah,
And you
so
don't even know what it is, and you just keep on going along.
right, right.
Yeah.
How interesting. So other than the spiritual side of it, what are your thoughts about what are your thoughts about climate change?
I think it's just happening, and I think there is stuff that we can do about it, but it seems like a monster that is really too big to defeat.
To
And
take
I think,
care of, to handle.
yeah,
It
I
has
think
grown. It has grown so much, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because again, the climate is a part of the spiritual aspect. If we don't take care of our world, of our ocean, of our thing, it affects all of us.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
some. Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh no, I want to hear what you were gonna say first.
Okay, something that I've learned from traveling and you know being in these third world countries is that the education on climate change here is so much lower than it is in the United States, where in the United States you will get fined for throwing trash on the floor, and everybody will look at you and patronize you for throwing trash on the floor. Like, how could you? There's a trash can right there. Whereas here in Morocco and Iraq, it's so normal to just throw your trash on the beach, on the road, on like everywhere. I see it all the time. Probably every single time I go out, I see one person throwing their trash out of their car. And how are you gonna how am I going to educate a whole population of people? I think it's possible, but it is really like a beast that is very large, you know. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah. So, um, I unfortunately agree that it's so like the way that our world that I perceive that our world is structured right now, and I think more and more of us are just kind of awakening to this, and it's like we're all kind of unsure of what to do about it is the fact that this world is run by people that, care about profit over life,
Mm, yeah.
and unfortunately those are all the people in power. And it actually makes me wonder about this whole life, to begin with, if it isn't sort of just kind of like a great struggle against that, like if we're talking about spirituality and like, different sides kind of, battling each other. If I were to look at it like that, and a part of me does, I do think it's about the side that cherishes a lot of what you're talking about, Antoinette, and same thing with you, Aya, which is just relation to each other, caring about other, life, and trying to understand it better, but also through that, trying to understand each other better and caring about that. And that includes not just human lives but animal lives and the planet that we're on, and life on this planet in general. And then the side that doesn't care about that at all, and that
Hmm.
focuses on just, trying to get more power and more things
Profit
and more
and
possessions and exactly. And
hmm
so, I think that it would make a lot of sense for the fact, for this world that we live in being as alive as it is, for it to reject that presence in itself.
hmm
It's like, of course it would. And so to me, if I'm thinking about like a potential solution or a path forward, it's actually pretty simple. It's both morbid, but it's actually, I think, very optimistic at the same time, or beautiful, which is just that actually I totally agree with you. It's like, let's just focus on loving each other, relating to each other.
hmm
And if we're going to go down, we'll go down hugging each other. You
yeah.
know, I'd rather do that than go down trying to clamoring about trying to collect as many things and trying to survive, rather than just focusing on enjoying the time we have left with each other. And if
Yeah.
that's maybe a potential path forward and a potential solution, great. Like that's the only way that we possibly could solve this issue is by focusing on that rather than on profit or power.
Mm.
Anyway, so
That is so true. The reason why I also have that in my thoughts, and I've been toying with that idea for a very long time, is because when you really look at it, we can't really control everything. Like the people who are in power, who are controlling everything, can only last for as long as they can, right? And then another person comes in, and then use of power again. But then if we keep on thinking about that, what good would it do to ourselves? So that's why I stop. I'm like, okay, God is in control. Like no matter what, the least that I can do is just like make myself happy and unburden myself from really worrying and do the best that I can. And ever since I got that concept in my head and I started like meeting people, like-minded people who are doing the same thing, it makes me feel good to think that there are, that community who are on the same path, like for example, people who are into recycling, people who are into slow movement, like farm to table farming and all that. So I'm recently in that age where I'm surrounding myself with this kind of people, and it empowers me to think that no matter what happens in the world, if I know how to grow my own food, if I know what to do with things, I mean, I cannot save the whole world and everybody, but at least I can save the people that are around me. Plus the fact that I'm doing my part to save Mother Gaia, the earth, and giving back to her for all the things that she's giving me. So that's just moving onwards. That's just how I look at things. And that's why I'm so excited whenever I see someone like, oh my God, she has like a backyard garden. Oh my God, it is. So it's like the best thing that has ever happened. Like every time I see that. When I found out recently that the Philippines is adapting slow food movement, and they got this, I think, from Europe, from Italy. I think that's where it started. The slow food concept. And when I saw this, because a lot of my friends were like posting, "Oh, it's already here in our city." Da, 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 da. I'm like, "Oh my god, I wish I can be there right now." Like, I really enjoy it because aside from the fact that you're eating like a potentially non-chemically, covered food, you are helping the people who are growing it. So it's all like domino effect. It's not just the food, it's not just the garden, the soil. It's the people, regenerative process. Plus I'm
Yeah.
helping myself because I'm learning more about it. So it's like a win-win thing, and it's fun, I think.
Yeah, that's
Do
true.
they have it? Do they have it there too? Like, like farmers market and stuff?
Yes, yes.
Oh, they do.
Morocco has a big organic scene. They called it beldi, which means by the hand.
Oh,
So
nice.
people doing things with their hands. But at the same time, there's lots of pesticides. There's both going on.
Mm-hmm.
But people are very conscious here, very aware, which I'm happy to know. Whereas in Iraq, that consciousness is very low. They don't talk about it. The education on it's very low. The products available in the supermarket are so low quality. For example, a bottle of milk has vegetable oil in it,
Mm,
and people
hmm.
are giving this to their children. You know, like yeah, the amount of blessings we have to be in the West and be part of this highly much more educated society on climate change and natural health is like understated. It's I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but the world is struggling. Like we all know this, the world is really
Yeah.
struggling.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're absolutely right, Antoinette. I came to that realization as well that the only thing that you can really do is yourself and the things around you. The more you work on yourself, the more your outside will become better. And through that, people will come and they will want to learn from you. They'll be curious, like, oh, how are you doing this? What is that? What is this? That's how it's gonna work. I don't think getting mad at the elite people that are destroying the world.
The system.
It's so big. It's so big, you know. And I'm thankful for people like you, like-minded people, this kind of community, because it's a real movement. It's a real thing. It's a real consciousness that is building something. And I just hope that we work on ourselves even more and we stay connected even more so that others can join.
Yeah, yeah. And talking about that, I mean, like, what, because I really wanted to continue this with people who are consistently showing up to, make it better and bigger and spread more things to others. So, what is the ideal day and time? Because I also work, maybe, hold on, let me just end the live stream for now.
Okay.
Is that okay? Because this
Yeah.
Hmm.
is more of the schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, there. Bye, everyone.